Okay. All right. So these are just some of my raw notes, but let's go ahead and begin then. And this is kind of our outline for tonight. So I'm going to talk and say some things. Linda, I'm going to give you a chance to say anything you want in a bit. I am interested in learning a little bit of a traffic report from you. I don't expect names, but just, what's going on with the GSG. Then we're going to do a little bit of community building group work. We'll say more about that when we get there. We'll do a wellness poll, and after all of that, we'll get down to talking about content, and we'll do a bunch of things like that. And so anyway, let me just begin talking, and then we'll go from there. So this is week 3 of the term, and we're moving into week 4 of the term. And if any of you are following along in the textbook, again, you don't have to follow along in the textbook, but if you do, we're also finishing up chapter 3, and we're into chapter 4. So that's a good thing. And Kathy has a question, and I'm going to recognize Kathy and hear her question, but you guys are going to have, and again, I'm not putting Kathy off, but you do have plenty of time for questions that will happen here. So anyway, Kathy, what's up with you, please?
I just was trying to find the name of the textbook. I couldn't find it in the syllabus, the one that you recommended for the first half statistics.
Okay, well, it is, I do give you a picture of it in the video, and it's Michael Sullivan's book, and it's, and in fact, maybe, wow. Well, first of all, the reason I don't put it in the syllabus exactly that way is that it is, oh, let's see, how do I want to say it? It is not required. Okay, I don't make you buy it. All right, but it is there. It's Michael Sullivan's 5th edition. And Linda, could I ask you to, and maybe we'll do this in the group because I don't want to distract Linda too much now. But what I'll do is I'll help Linda. Linda will help me to remember that, and we'll show you a picture of that again. But it's Michael Sullivan's 5th edition, and I think it's called, Fundamentals of, it's got data in the title. Kathy, we'll answer that, but not this instant, okay?
Okay,
And
thank you.
and it is in the video, and I'm not blowing you off. I'm not going to say just, oh no, go find it there, but I'd have to look for it in the video and things like that. So Linda and I will deal with that, and maybe Linda will just remind me to do that during the break. Okay, so Kathy, so you will get answered, but not right now. Okay, okay, so this is week 3 going into week 4, and if you were following along the text, and you don't have to at all, but we're chapter 3 to chapter 4, so we're moving along. We're approaching our cruising altitude and speed, I think. So that's good. Okay, last time, and I don't remember who I was talking to, but someone said, hey, I think you made a mistake on the LSA, and I don't know if it was a mistake exactly, but they said, could you please look at it? So I did. I promised I would do that, and I did. And I made a little video that talked about that. And so that promise is kept, okay? Also, in the regression videos, I showed you an example of an ultrasound research study using regression analysis. And so I just want you to realize that, yeah, that's definitely something we do. I made a note here called office hour availability. Here's what happens, and I don't necessarily think it's you, but sometimes I'm trying to do some work and I'm doing email, and I'll say, somebody just came to your Zoom office hours. Now, and that's fine, except I was doing the emails not during my Zoom office hours, so somebody was jumping in there at the wrong time. So the only time, and they're welcome to go in there and hang out, I suppose, but the only time I'm going to be there is during my office hours. So please, please do it that way. And a lot of times what I do is I figure out who the student is, then I check which one of the half a dozen classes I'm teaching that they're in, and then I send them an email and I say, hey, you showed up at the wrong time, not being angry with you, but just what's on your mind. Sometimes I even call them, but also sometimes I don't have time to do all that work looking them up. And so do understand that you want to come to my office hours when my office hours happen. Okay, we're also going to be approaching midterm, and one of the things I asked you guys to do, and I warned you, is, gee, we know when the midterm is, and it'll be, in our classroom here, our VCM classroom, and you'll want to be here. So you're supposed to be here, but if any of you have accommodations, either blue card accommodations, or you say, oh my God, my boss made me work that night, then you want to be letting me know as soon as possible. All students will be accommodated, but you got to let us know, and let us know the earlier is the better, because that will help us have all that stuff lined up. And then the last thing I want to say here is that there are 2 LSAs sitting out there for you now. One is due on the 12th and one is due on the 19th. So that's kind of an update on that. I'm about ready to turn this over to Linda, but Linda, I'm going to ask you, and I realize that this is kind of a public thing, but how are you doing tonight? You feeling okay and everything?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Okay. And by the way, Linda, I have something to report. I was talking to one of the students in this class, and they told me that you were wonderful to work with, and that you, in fact, explained all the things that I didn't explain well in class, and that they were just in really good shape. And I said, well, that doesn't surprise me at all. But I thought I'd report that because they couldn't say enough good things about you. I'm going to ask, what kind of traffic are you seeing? You seeing some students from our class here?
Yeah, typically about 2 to 4 people, depending on what we're covering and how confused they are. But for the most part, people just kind of jump in and out.
Okay, but it's decent, it sounds like. Okay.
Yeah,
And I'm sure they're getting good bang for the buck with you, so that is good.
a lot of
Okay.
people show up just to listen. So if you guys are feeling, kind of iffy about stuff, but you're not quite sure what questions to ask, then that's also an option. You're always welcome to come say hi.
Okay, great. And Linda, anything else in the tutoring space that you want? Oh wait, someone has a, let's see, it is Marila. Marila, I still can't do that right. Tell me how to
Mariella.
do that. Mariella. Okay,
Mariella.
that would have taken me
Okay.
forever. What is your question, please?
You mentioned that the midterms coming up. Do we have a date? I can't find it on the syllabus.
I think I shared that with you. If not, I'll be sharing it with you soon. It's more or less, well, actually, I'm going to tell you exactly when it is. It is the Tuesday right before St. Patrick's Day. So now, by the way, I'm doing something here. I'm trying to, and I hope I don't screw this up. All right, so I'm going here and I'm just looking. St.
So
Patrick's
that would be
Day.
March 16th.
Yes, I think so. And I was looking it up just to make sure. You see, my patron saint is St. Patrick. And so I, and I am Irish and so on and so forth. So that's an important day for me. By the way, St. Patrick's Day actually was when the College of DuPage went dark by COVID. So that's kind of the anniversary of that too. So that's scheduled for the 16th here that night. And Mariella, there will be much more detail about that later. And I think I
Okay.
announced that once before, but if not, I did now. Okay. So a
Yeah, I
lot
can
more about
remember,
that.
but
Yeah, that's okay. And by the way, I think it is on 1 week from that, which I think will be the 9th. One month from tonight, I think we'll have a little practice drill in class. I think we'll have the proctors come and tell us how that will work. So that will be good. Okay. Now, Linda, what we're going to do with this community building thing is we're just going to bust these these students into more or less equal groups, and Linda's figuring out how many of you are and things like that, and she's going to do that in a bit. Not yet though, because here's your assignment as you're doing this. So what I want you to do is I want you to introduce each other and things like that. I do want you to select, and that could be drafting or whatever, but there's got to be a spokesperson for your group. Okay, so you introduce the spokesperson and things like that. And then there'll be a debriefing that will happen whenever we go around. And so I'll go to various groups and I will say, okay, leader of the group or spokesperson of the group, who is in your group? And they'll say Susie, Tom, and Betty, perhaps, okay? And then I'll say, hey, where were Susie, Tom, and Betty, and yourself born? And you know, and for example, if I were to answer that, I would tell you that I was born in the town Washington, Indiana, was where I was born. And not that you care about that, but that's just what it was. And then I want you to do a little bit of work in the group, and I want you to figure out who in your group was born farthest from Glen Ellen. And Linda, maybe we'll do a little thing whenever they report back, and we'll figure out who in the whole class that's showing up tonight was born furthest from Glen Ellen, and that's just there. And then inside your group, I also want you to poll for questions. So if people do have questions within the group, and somebody might ask a question, somebody else might say, oh, that makes me think of another question. So you'll generate some questions, and part of this debriefing is we'll answer questions until we run out of questions, okay? Because questions are important, okay? And so that's what's going to happen in the in this group. So everybody write down so you know what you're supposed to be doing, or maybe you're looking at these charts, I don't know. And Linda, how many groups are we putting these people into?
I'm thinking 5.
Okay, so there's going to be 5 groups that Linda will establish. And Linda, as you look at this challenge, how long do you think we should let them linger in the groups?
About 6 minutes, I'd say.
Okay, so Linda, in 6 or 7 minutes, we'll just bring you back, and we'll have that going. And I don't know, Linda was sounding very spry tonight and things like that. She might drop into various groups and stuff like that. I don't know what she will do, but we'll see about that. So Linda's watching the clock. I am too. I always know what time it is. But anyway, Linda, you ready to break them into groups?
Yep, all ready to go.
All right, make it happen, Linda, and then we'll reconvene later. And Linda, you can still hear me?
Yes, I can.
And maybe they can too. I hope not. Not that I'm hiding anything. It's just I don't want to disturb them. Is it easy for, I don't know. Here's what I would do if I had to do that. I'd call up another web thing, and I'd hunt for Michael Sullivan's 5th edition of that book, and just a picture. Or I know I put pictures in one of the videos, but maybe it's easy for you to look for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in the introduction video. So if you give me a minute, then I can try to find it.
Okay, and again, just snap a picture of or not, just I want to show that to them, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and in fact, if you want to, you could just maybe copy that slide. I don't know what you do, but you could stick it in the mix of our slides here.
Okay.
And then we'll answer that for sure. And again, I'm not trying to just give you a bunch of orders, but you're so much more capable than I am.
I don't know about that.
Actually, I'm capable in other ways, but anyway, there we go. And I'm glad things are, and I hope you were being, I know you're being truthful, but I hope things are going well with you and yours, so.
Yeah, pretty well. Jasper's eye has finally started to shrink back to normal size.
Well, that is a positive development, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it.
Oh, great, wonderful. I didn't meet Jasper and get to know Jasper very well, but I did see him there one time. You were out walking with him or something. And I bet you still haven't watched Good Will Hunting, have you? Because you're too busy.
No, I haven't.
Yeah. So someday you should do it. I mean, I think you would like it. But anyway. And I'm going to move just for a minute. I need to go find something to write with. So
Okay.
I'm going, and I may rearrange my lighting here too. And so I'm just going offline, kind of offline for a minute or two, but I'm still here, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we still doing good, Linda?
Yep, and I found the textbook.
Okay, great. That's
So as soon as
wonderful.
we bring him back, then I'll put that in the everyone chat.
Okay, that would be good. And
Can you adjust
let's.
your microphone a little bit? It's a little loud with your breathing.
Thank you. I fixed that.
Okay.
I'm actually much more sensitive to that when I'm making videos now, and I think
Yeah.
that's good. So it's better now, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. I went to a UJA, let's see, what is it called? UJA seminar. Do you know what that is?
I don't think so.
That is COD's. Now, you should have gotten an email on this, but anyway, that is COD's Blackboard related video processing thing. Now, the thing that's going to be cool for me now, it's probably not any better or worse than that ed tech or whatever it was you told me about. By the way, I save your text, so I have that to refer back to. But the cool thing is I think that actually can save me some time. When are we supposed to bring these guys back?
Just about any time now. You want me to bring him back?
Are they supposed to know what groups they're in?
They're supposed to, but they probably won't.
Okay, that's all right. Okay, so go ahead and bring them back.
Just real quick before we get started, then I did find the link for the textbook, and I put that in the everyone chat. So it should open up the video to exactly the time when it mentions it.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, no problem.
And I think what you have there is a picture, but one thing I want to stress, that's not required, but some students find it useful, and you can, and by the way, I finished all my work with that publisher, and they're supposed to get back to me with you know, if you want an electronic version of that. But some students in the past have done very well in the course not having it. Others have done very well in the course renting it. And so anyway, it's there for you. Okay. All right, I'm going to start with, and I don't know if anybody knows if they're group one or not, but I'm going to ask who is the spokesperson for group one. And if nobody knows what group you're in, just somebody jump in and tell me who you are.
I'm the spokesperson for group one. I'm Lori.
Okay, so Lori, and is that L-A-U-R-I-E? Okay.
That's correct.
There's actually some people go L-O-R-I on that. And some, I actually know some people who are L-O-R-I-E once upon a time. Okay, so it is nice to meet you. Who all was in your group?
I had Destiny and Kathy and Maria.
Okay, so that is good. And where were all those people and yourself born?
Destiny was born in DeKalb, and Kathy in Hinsdale, and Maria in Aurora, and I was born in Joliet.
Okay. Now I'm not sure. I mean, I could think about that, and I would know how to find out which of those is furthest from Glen Ellen. Probably it's either Joliet or DeKalb.
Yeah, we decided DeKalb.
Okay, so we got a DeKalb there, and later on we'll figure out. Now, by the way, I'm glad to have you all here and things like that. But that wasn't a very exotic report. I almost expect.
It wasn't. We're very local.
No, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being local. Okay, so that is good. And did your group have any questions? I'm going to ask you. I'm going to let you have one question, and then if you have more, we'll pick some more up later. Did you have a question, your group?
Yes. So our first one would be when should we normally expect to see our grades or feedback on the low stakes assessments?
Well, and by the way, please understand, I'm not being rude when I say this, but on one hand, I'm going to say when I get to it. But I also am going to tell you, don't have alarm about that, because those things are meant for you to be, let's see, what do I want to say? Those are meant to be learning exercises. Actually, I mean them to be gentle in that, I'm not going to grade them harshly. And I do a better job of giving you solutions, like when I solved that other one and then I adjusted the solution. I do a better job of doing that. So learning, is proceeding, and I will get around to that. But I don't know. I've had a handful of things going on and things like that. By the way, I'm going to ask, and she is brutally honest. I'm going to ask Linda if she wants to say anything or about this, or maybe not. Linda and I has worked together on this course more than once.
So genuinely do not worry about the feedback and the grades for the LSAs. If you are curious about how you feel like you did, then definitely come to the GSG, come to office hours, and we can work through the solution with you.
But I am giving you solutions, and we will get there, and you are going to be getting credit for those and things like that. And by the way, if you
Yes.
say, "Damn it, I didn't turn that one in," well, turn it in now. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say. Okay, so Lori, I'm taking that as your one question that's right now, but we'll have more questions if we have, we'll come back to you, see if you have any more. Okay, is there a group 2 out there?
Yes, this is
Who are
Jenna.
you? All right, Jenna. Jenna, I think you have been the leader more than once, which is fine.
Yes,
Okay, so
it's okay.
so that's good. So who all was in your group today?
So I had myself, Hannah, Katerina, and Itzel.
Okay, excellent. And where were you all born?
So me and Hannah were born in Elmhurst, and Katerina was in Winfield. So Elmhurst obviously is the farthest,
Okay.
but
This,
not too exotic.
actually, there is an exotic plant greenhouse in Elmhurst, and also I think there's a gem museum or something in Elmhurst. Anyway,
Oh,
okay,
interesting.
as well as Elmhurst College. Okay, so and let's see. So and Jenna, did your group have any questions?
No, we did not.
Okay, so now I'm going to be skipping you for the rest of this then, just because
Okay.
we're dealing with questions. It's not that I don't like you, but I'm just going along. Okay, so that's good. Is there a group 3, and who's the spokesperson?
I was in group 3. This is Diana.
Okay, hi Diana. Okay, who else was in your group, and where are they from? And tell me where you were from too.
We had Jasmine, Tori, and Cassandra in the group. We were all from Chicago, so we went by hospital.
Okay.
And Tori was born in St. Joseph. She was the furthest.
Okay, so St. Joseph in Chicago. I think, well, actually, that's going to be pretty close because DeKalb and Chicago are almost the same distance from Glen Ellen. So that'll actually be an interesting thing, maybe, when we look that up. I don't know. Did your group have any questions?
Yes. How are the LSAs graded? For example, if we're off on one thing, it kind of throws the rest of it off.
I'm going to, now, you're probably, I don't know if you like this, but I'm going to use, I'm going to tell you a phrase, and my phrase is gently. Okay, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Linda, can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay, so I got this thing jumped up there again, and maybe I'm still trying to get back to my core. Oh, there I did. I found the way back without having to log in again. Okay, that's it. So they're going to be graded gently because I want you to make the effort. I want you to try to turn them in on time. I do want you to turn them in, but they'll be graded gently. So if you were like one number off or something like that, as long as you understand the solution, understand what you did wrong, and do that, I think you will be fine with your grade there. So that's probably the best answer I can give you, but they'll be done um, uh, beyond a wholesome discipline. It will be done gently for the low stakes assessment. Now, I also am going to tell you that the high stakes assessments will be less gentle because you're supposed to know things then, or you're prepared for those exams and stuff like that. But anyway, that's that. Now, Diana, did you have, or was it Diane or Diana?
Diana,
Okay, Diana, did your group have any more questions, or can I cross you off?
we did have one more.
Okay, so I'll come back to you. I'm not crossing you off, but I'm going to go to group 4 now. So who is the group 4 leader?
I am. So it's Mariella, myself, Carolina, Paola, and Elizabeth.
Okay, so Mariella, and where are all you guys from?
So Elizabeth was born in California, and
Oh,
I was
there we
born.
go.
Yeah, I got the farthest ones. I was born here in Chicago, and then I have Paola and Carolina, which were both born in Colombia. So we kind of look at the map, and we decided that Paola was the one that was born the farthest.
That's Colombia, right?
Yeah,
And that's
Bogota.
and that's like, yeah, okay. So that's like down there. Okay, so yeah, okay, so that is good. Did your group have any questions?
We do.
Go ahead.
So we have one thing to ask from Linda. Maybe when she's like working on stuff like in lecture, is if she can like explain a little bit what she's doing. Because sometimes I'm looking over the recordings and I don't understand what just happened. So I have to like rewatch it like multiple times.
Oh, well, and by the way, I'm going to say that's okay with me, and I do know that Linda tries to do that, but Linda is also very bright, okay, and she knows how to do things quickly, and I appreciate that. But I guess I'm going to ask you, and in fact, Linda, I'm going to tell you a story about baseball.
Okay.
There was a brilliant pitcher, and you guys all can listen to this story. There was a brilliant pitcher when I was young, and his name was Sandy Koufax. And Sandy Koufax was a good pitcher. He won about 18 games a year back in the day, but he wasn't the best pitcher in the league, and he was wild. And his catcher was a guy by the name of Johnny Roseboro. And Johnny Roseboro went out and talked to Sandy one day on the pitching mound, and he says, "You know, Sandy, you can throw so hard, none of these guys can hit what you throw. And in fact, none of these guys can hit what you throw if you throw 3/4 as fast as you can instead of as fast as you can." And he says, "And I bet you'll have better controlled." And then Roseboro also said, "And have a little fun out here. Don't be so serious." Well, anyway, what happened was Sandy Koufax took Roseboro's advice, and he was the best pitcher in the league for 5 years running, and he made it into the Hall of Fame. And when I was a kid, I loved watching this guy pitch because he was just masterful. So anyway, Linda, don't be afraid to take your time, because I think if you're going at 3/4 speed, it's probably good for them. And by the way, I'm giving Linda this advice, but I'm also going to tell you from my own experience, that's easier said than done. Okay, because you just get you get passionate, you're going through there. So anyway, so that's there, and Linda will try to do that. I do know that she has been explaining things, and that's her way, but she'll certainly try to do that. You got any more questions, Mariella?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so I'll return to you in a bit, and I think there's a group 5 who's here.
This is Kira. I'll be speaking for Group 5.
Okay, Kira, hope you're well tonight. And okay, so let's see, who all's in your group and where are they from?
We have Caitlin, who was born in Cicero, Illinois, and Anali, who was born in Melrose Park, Illinois. And I'm Kira, and I was born in Downers Grove. So we looked up and found that Cicero came in at the farthest from Glen Ellen at 22.7 miles, according to Google.
Okay, and I'm glad you did that, because again, sometimes you have to look things up to get your data and things like that. So that is excellent. I think Columbia still is the winner
Yeah.
on this whole thing. But okay, so that is good. Did your group have any questions?
We did. We were wondering if there is a video or if we'll be provided more data for LSA number 3. We were just concerned if like we needed to know the average amount of customers that Speedy Lube has in order to solve that problem.
Tell you what, we can we will go and look at that, and so Linda's already answered the book question. So Linda, if we can glance at that LSA, but I'll talk to that later. I don't want to do it right now because we have to go down, shut down and go find it. But I think we're going to be okay. And my guess is that you're going to feel better about that at the end of tonight's lecture too. Okay.
Okay,
So do you have more questions or was that it?
that was all we had.
Okay, so that was the Speedy Lube thing. Okay, now I'm back to Lori. Do you have another question there queued up, or maybe it was questions that have already been asked?
Yeah, we were curious if all assignments are going to be done in Excel or some of them are not Excel based.
I think you certainly can do things that aren't in Excel, but I'm going to tell you a lot of the assignments are probably best done in Excel. And doing the assignments are there also good because what will happen is on a test, I'm going to let you use Excel. And if I give you a data file and ask you to do something, you really want to be able to do it with Excel. So make sure that you're sharpening your Excel skills. Linda, you want to add anything to that or no?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay, that's good. I'm skipping Jenna, and Lori, I'll be back to you in case you guys have another question. Diana, do you have another question?
Yes. Will the midterm be on here, and how will it be proctored if it's proctored?
It will be proctored, and it's actually really, really kind of complicated, and that's why we're going to invest some class time in doing that. On the 9th, that's March 9th, the proctors are going to come here and they're going to talk about how it happens. Basically, what you will be doing is you'll be fixing up your cell phone to monitor. They'll be watching you over your cell phone in Zoom, and you'll be working this using pencil, paper, Excel, and maybe a calculator. And I'll say a lot more about that, but that's what's going to happen. And yes, it is proctored. And that prompted Kathy to ask a question. Go ahead, Kathy.
Will we be able to have a printout of that one sheet of the formulas you had told us we could use, or will that be easily accessible some other way?
One of those things, there will be grace notes, okay? So that is accessible for you, okay?
When will the grace notes be available?
Well, I'm going to, I've been actually showing you grace notes, and I'm going to show you more grace notes tonight. What I do is I just copy the formula pages from the book. Now, I am going to have those available, but in a previous lecture, these VCM lectures, I have shown you grace notes, and Linda and I are going to show you some more grace notes tonight. So we'll have some examples of that, okay? Now, I think that was Diana. Mariella, do you have any more questions, or was that you?
Yes, we have a
So
question.
real quick, then the actual grace notes will be attached with the exam. So you'll probably see the actual version that you'll be using on the test probably within a week of the exam.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Mariella, you have questions or no more?
Yes, so in average, how many questions do you do for a midterm or a final?
10 to 12. Okay. Now, and I'll ask Linda to answer this, but I'm also a big fan of saying A, B, and C. So for example, I could say, hey, here is a stem and leaf plot, for example. And then I could ask you a bunch of questions about that.
Mhm.
Okay. So numerically, I would say there would be between 10 and 12. And Linda, I don't know, and I haven't written yours yet. Linda, you want to weigh in on that or not so much?
So there are going to be multiple parts to questions, but most of those are going to be fairly simple that you can answer with very minimal calculations, like find the mean, find the median, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, even if it feels like a lot, then it's stuff that you can get through quickly.
Okay, so then I'm going to Sierra. Do you guys have more questions?
Nope, we do not.
Okay, so I'm putting an X through you, not because I don't like you. I'm just saying we're done. And Anali has a question, it looks like. Go ahead.
I have a question regarding the midterm. Will there be any questions that we have to explain the answers like from the data?
Maybe. I haven't written it yet. I'll give you an example, though. I could ask you where you're explaining something is which one is a better representation of the measure of center, the median or the mean, and why. And so, I mean, maybe there's probably going to be more numerical things than that. And again, I'm just going to go to Linda because Linda knows how to answer these things maybe better than I do. So Linda, how do you answer that? And Kathy, I'll recognize you in just a minute.
So
Linda,
I do kind of create like a list of topics before the midterm. So any essay questions that are included, then I will give you guys some kind of heads up. And especially if you're coming to tutoring and stuff, then I can give you more in-depth responses for what to expect for the midterm.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I'm going to observe as I recognize Kathy is, and this is honest to God true, you guys have thought about this midterm way more than I have so far. Kathy, go ahead.
My question is on the midterm, will we be opening up Excel and creating anything during the midterm?
Yes. Like, for example, and I haven't written it, so I don't know, but I might say, hey, go fetch the Bears database and do this. And so that would be an example of something.
Do we need to?
So it's to save you time so you don't have to type up all the data.
But what I'm asking is, are we able on a proctored test? I don't know. Are we able to use the same device to open Excel, or you know what I mean? Or are we not able to?
You can. The proctors just need to be aware of what we're allowing.
Okay.
And I know how to let them know that, so that's good.
And if we're good, we know how to do it, but we're just very slow on Excel. I'm very slow right now on it, but I can do it. What happens if we go over time by a lot?
Well, now, first of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story, and I'm investing a lot of time answering these questions, but I'm not worried. Things will be fine. Okay, so don't worry about this. But I guess what I'm going to tell you is that my normal mode of operation is I have started back in the day when we actually were going to class at COD. I would throw a test in the testing center. You could go in and you could spend as long as you wanted on a test. Unfortunately, I can't do that with the proctors, so they will be closed in. And so I think the test will be fair, but that's why you want to practice these things and have your skills developed. And also, that's why if you have accommodations, you want to let me know, because I can factor that in to my setting this up with the people. So I don't know. That's my answer. I think I'm going back to Lori, and maybe I lost track of this. So Lori, do you have any more questions? Your group?
We had one more question, and it was actually a question from Kathy, and it was really very more specific about math and not like a general class question. So we weren't sure if this was the time for that or not.
Why don't
And
you
if it
ask
is,
it?
I'll let Kathy ask.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was wondering when I was working on LSA2, finding the quartiles, I had an issue where I wasn't sure. I had my min, my max, and my median, and then I was looking to find the first quartile, and I wasn't sure if I include that median number because I had an odd set of data. So unlike one of the examples where they had an even number and the median ended up being a number that wasn't a data point, I wasn't sure if I have an odd number of data.
here's what you do, and if you don't understand this, we can talk about this later. But
Yeah.
the short answer is, if it's not an element of your, if it's the same as one of your numbers, but it's not a data element, then you take everything underneath that number.
Okay.
Or above that number. So that's the short answer. And we do have examples where we did that and things like that. And I'm happy to talk about that, in office hours, and Linda
Yeah,
will talk to you about
that's
that.
what I wasn't sure.
That's
Okay.
okay. So Lori, I'm
So
putting
the median itself is not included.
That's well put, Linda. Okay, so Lori, I'm putting an X through your group. I think you are finished with your questions. Jenna, do you guys have any more questions?
No, we're all good.
All right, I'm putting an X through your group because that group is done. And let's see, Diana, does your group have any more questions?
Nope.
Okay, X through that group. And Mariella, does your group have any more questions?
No, that's it.
Okay, excellent. So this is over, and Columbia wins this. Last term, I had a differential equations student who was COVID quarantined in his hotel room in Dubai, and he won that thing. Okay, so that's the end of that. Linda, let's throw up a wellness poll, and this is
You
just
got it.
how are y'all, and then we'll do that.
All right, that's all of it.
Okay, so most of you are okay or great, so that's good. In fact, just to impress you, that's 85% of you are okay or great, and the other 15% are struggling. Now, struggling, you know how to fix that, okay? And so I'm just saying, we're here for you. Tom Topol is here, Linda is here, I am here, Cheryl Martin and the scads of people that she has working in the Learning Commons are here for you, so it is all good. Okay, now we're going to plow through and do some more work now. And let's see, I will just advance the slide. And Linda, if you're still feeling up to do some work, I'll probably have you do some work. The first thing that I'm going to do is remind you that a bell-shaped curve satisfies a thing called the empirical rule. And that means that you can see a bell-shaped curve here, and you can see that 68% of the data are within one standard deviation of the mean. And you can see that 95% are within two standard deviations of the mean, and 99.7%, which is almost all the data, is within three standard deviations of the mean. You should also notice that this is a symmetric curve. And Linda, when she does some things later, she's going to exploit the symmetry of this curve. So that's some important takeaways. Okay, now this is an example of one of those grace note pages, okay? And in fact, what I was going to do tonight, and Linda, I'm just in real time, I'm thinking about this, and I'm trying to think if I really want to do this or not. Yeah, I am going to do one of these. I'm not going to do two of these, but here are equations for grouped data. And last time we talked about frequency tables, but here we have grouped frequency tables. So these are the equations that Linda is going to be using to help you think through some of these problems. And we've talked about a bunch of these others, but this is what the grace notes look like. It's just a bunch of pages that look like this. Okay, but these are the problems that Linda is going to be, these are the equations Linda's going to be doing to do this next problem. Okay, so here we go then, and this is interesting real data because this came from the National Vital Statistics Report. Now you'll notice that Linda is going to be using Excel to do this, and you might also wonder, why is Jim talking so slowly? Well, you see, Linda is going and pounding this into Excel right now because we have this. Now, this says the following data represent the number of live multiple delivery births. That means 3 or more babies. Now, by the way, my wife was a twin, but that she didn't count this way because there were only 2 of them. Okay, and her twin sister is still alive, and I talk with her sometimes. And on their birthday, I sent her flowers. I sent her tulips this year because I can't send tulips to my wife anymore. Also, Pam, that's my wife's sister, is very proud of the fact that she's the oldest in the family. She was born 6 minutes before my wife was. But anyway, these are 3 or more babies. And this is the, and by the way, Linda, I think this is a universe, okay? So these were in 2017. This is women from 15 to 54 years of age. But now you see, we don't have all the data. We have these bracketed into buckets, okay? So here is 15 through 19, 20 through 24, and so on and so forth. And you can see that a bunch of them happened 30 to 34. And by the way, that's not surprising because that's probably, you know, a prime childbearing age for people. And then it dropped off because there's not too many people in their 50s who give birth, although there were some. Okay, now you can't figure out the exact mean and standard deviation for this, but what you can do is you can approximate the mean and standard deviation. And yes, I have asked questions like this, and yes, this does require you to do some, you know, some Excel manipulations and things like that, but we're approximating it. And the reason we're approximating it, you see, we got 43 people up here who were between 15 and 19. Now, maybe 40 of them were 18, I don't know, or maybe half of them were 16, I don't know. So this is all the data that I have. Okay, so Linda then is going to do this. So we're going to approximate the mean and standard deviation, and then we're going to draw a frequency histogram more or less like that. And then we'll talk about the empirical rule. In fact, Linda, we can skip B if we want to, but let's talk about number, well, I don't know, maybe we'll do A, B, and C. Okay, so Linda, did I stall long enough for you to type that in?
You did.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to shut up and let Linda talk, and please pay attention to Linda.
So you said just A and C?
Sure.
Okay, so we are approximating the mean. So first of all, I need to figure out what my representative for each of these age brackets is. So I'm going to insert a row between, well, a column between A and B. And this is where I'm going to put my representative, okay? So just the middle point in each data bracket.
Now,
so for this one.
And by the way, I know I'm interrupting, but Sullivan does this, and I want you to follow Sullivan's rules. And I know I'm interrupting Linda, but the middle point, some students don't think about the middle point the correct way. So I'm telling you the way that Michael Sullivan tells you to do it. And you see that each of these, and Linda, I'm sorry to interrupt, but each of these are like, all right, so it's 15 through 19, and the next one is 20. That means each thing is 5, so 5 is 2.5. So I'm adding 2.5 to that left endpoint in each one. I'm sorry, Linda, but that's something some students get confused about. So anyway.
Okay. So all I'm doing is adding 2.5 to each of my left endpoints. So this would be 20 plus 2.5, so 22.5. Was there a question?
Yeah, Kathy has the question. Go ahead, Kathy.
I'm wondering, why wouldn't it be the middle number that would be, like in the first example, 17?
Because I just told you how to do it. And
Okay.
I'm not trying to be rude.
Sure.
I'm really not trying to be rude. And in fact, that's the reason I interrupt Linda, because and by the way, sometimes I call Linda and I say, hey, Linda, would you like to prepare tonight? And she says, let's just wing it. And actually, we've done this many times, and Linda wings it very well. But we hadn't discussed that. And Kathy, some students would say, well, damn it, I would like to take the middle point between 15 and 19. That's not how Michael Sullivan does it in the book. And so that's why I interrupted Linda, just to make sure. And Linda probably would have done that right anyway. But I'm telling you.
So, Kathy, which term would 19.5 fall into? Would it be here or here?
Okay, so I see. So essentially the first
yeah,
one
you
is
got
going
to realize
right all the way up to the
yeah,
edge.
that 19 is covering all of 19, not just to the very tip of 19.
Okay, I guess I was thinking like median, but
Yeah, so I'm actually going to write this as like 19.9 repeating. That way it makes a little bit more sense why we're adding 2.5.
Okay, but I'm going to also tell you all that I'm not going to write 19. If I ask this question on exam, it would come out just the way it is. And what Michael Sullivan says is, look at these endpoints and you go from 15, 20, 25. So everything is 5. So add 2.5. And if any of you get Michael Sullivan's book and read that, that's there. And by the way, I'm not being mean to you. I'm just trying to be instructive. So I'm not angry at anybody, but I'm just saying it's this way. Now, I also teach with a bunch of guys, and some guys actually don't like the way Michael Sullivan does it. I know Michael Sullivan; he's a good guy, and things like that. And I like his book actually quite a bit. That's why I use his book for that. But also, some of my mates don't like Michael Sullivan's book. They think he's okay, but they don't like the way he does it. So I'm just telling you, that's the way we do it. That's what I'm looking for you to do. And Kathy, again, I wasn't being mean with that. I'm just saying that's the way we do this. And that is something to, make note of. Okay, Linda, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so each of these are my representatives for each of the classes of ages, which we're also going to consider as x sub I. So when you're doing this in your formula, then this is what that refers to. Each of these values are your x sub i's, okay? So then very similarly, the number of multiple births is going to be your f sub I. So those are your frequencies. Any questions on that? Okay. So we are finding the population mean because you said this was the entire universe. So all we're doing right now is I'm going to multiply x sub I and f sub I. So when I do that, then I'm doing the equal sign. Is there a question?
Yeah, Kathy has a question.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, what do you mean by the I? I don't understand how you got the formula, and I've watched
So
it, just don't
if
get
I
it.
open up the PowerPoint again and look at my grace notes, then this population mean from group data right in the top right corner that I'm circling, that's the equation that I'm using. So you can see it has x sub I times f sub I. So first thing I need to do is multiply those. Then because of the summation in front, then I'm going to have to add all those together. So that's what's coming next.
What is the FI? I mean, I don't understand how you would know what those mean.
That's the first, Kathy, that is the first row of data. And so when I equal 1, it's the first row of data. When I equal 2, it's the second row of data. When I equal 3, it's the third row of data, and so on. And Linda will probably show you that in the Excel spreadsheet. But that's what that means. You're doing each row.
All right.
So if we go back to Excel, then this would be like f sub 2. And then if I go down, then that's going to be f sub 3. And this would be f sub 4. So the I is just the number of data points that you're working through one by one. So like I'm not going to take x sub 2 and multiply it by f sub 1, right? That wouldn't make sense because those don't line up. Kathy, did that answer your question?
No, I'm very confused. I don't understand what I thought we were finding the mean. I'm just so lost, and I watch all the videos.
We are finding the mean. It's working the exact same way as your GPA problem.
Okay, I'm very lost with even the explanation. I don't get it, but that's all right. Just go ahead. If everyone else is fine, I'll figure it out later. Thank you.
Are you sure? I'm happy to spend more time. I was told I should spend more time on things.
I don't want to be the only one making everyone else wait. So.
But you're not. You're just the only one asking the questions that they're thinking.
Yeah, I don't think you're making anybody wait, Kathy. I think it's fine if you.
Yeah, I'm very lost.
Linda, just rewind a little bit and say what you're doing here again, and I think it will come. I think it will come. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm actually going to steal this formula from the Grace Notes, and we'll put that into the Excel spreadsheet, and we can take a look at that, okay? So all I'm looking at right now is just that population mean from group data, okay?
And how did you know to use that formula, not like the sample mean from group data? Or
Because Professor
told-
Bradley told us at the beginning that we're talking about a population.
okay.
Is that okay then?
Sure, thank you.
Linda, just leave that there for a minute, and I'm looking, and let's see, can I point? You can't see me pointing, can you? Anyway,
I definitely can't.
Okay. Anyway, this formula Linda was talking about says mu, that's the mean, is equal to the summation. That means you add up the product of each row. So what this means is, in the first row, you take x1 times f1, and then you take x2 times f2, then you take x3 times f3, and that summation means we're going to add them up at the end, and then you add up all the frequencies. So that's exactly what Linda is doing here. And again, I think what I'm just making a command decision here, but Linda, go ahead and we'll finish this problem, and I have office hours pretty much immediately after this this class too. So there's there are those opportunities too. Back to you, Linda. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm taking my x sub 1, so my first x value, and I'm multiplying that by my first frequency value. So when I hit enter, then that'll give me the one for that one row, but I want it for all the rows. So I'm going to click back on that cell D2, and I want to bring that formula down for all of these. That way for each one, then you can see which ones I'm multiplying. So in this case, it's B4 times C4. In this case, it's B5 times C5. So they're all lined up still. And then because of that weird looking E, then I'm going to take the sum of all these. So equals sum. I'm opening a parenthesis. I'm highlighting my data, close the parenthesis, and hit enter. So that's my numerator. I still need my denominator. Maybe not why I'm doing things, but how I did it.
But I would need to know why, because I would need to know which equation I'm using for the test.
Yeah, I'm just also
Linda,
confused.
Linda, go back to the question, please. Can you show that
Okay.
on your screen? It says.
So that would be right here.
It says approximate the mean. That's what we're working to do right now. And over there, you can see that, and I told you it was a population. So that formula says population mean. That's why you're using it. Okay, because I asked you for the mean, I told you it was a population, so that's the formula that you're going to use. And that's how you know it is because, and again, I'm not being rude when I'm saying that, but it comes from a careful reading of the question. Okay, so it's asking for the mean. And
because of how the ages are, then we know that this is grouped data because they're giving you a bracket of where the ages actually fall into. So that's why we're not using this formula, we're using this one.
Can you repeat that, Linda? Why
We're not using the one in the top left because the data was given to you in groups. So because I started with all of these brackets, then I know that it was group data. So then I need to use the population mean, since that's what I'm trying to find, from grouped data.
Go ahead, Linda,
Okay,
please.
question. I'm sorry. Question. So if it was individual ages 15, 16, and on, would it then be population mean?
You got it.
Thank you.
And does it matter, Linda and Jim, does it matter if we don't understand why we're using either of those? We just try to figure out if it's grouped or not? Because I don't understand how those formulas.
You'll need to know which formula to use. But I mean, the ages that they give you are not single numbers, right? Like this isn't like the other problems where it's like 20 different data points that I have to type in.
Right.
Instead, they're giving you a range, so that's how you know that it's grouped.
But I'm just asking, it doesn't matter, or should we be worried that if we don't understand how that formula is made up, or why you would do that? We just have to know how to get to it, how to use it?
I would really like for you to understand where these formulas come from. I would like that, okay? But you can be very successful just knowing how to do the problems. The first thing I'd worry about, and not worry, because I'm trying to keep anxiety low, but the first thing I'd focus on is, can I do these problems, okay? And then you should work to get an understanding. But I think often what happens is the understanding comes as you do problems. It actually comes, and you start understanding that. Okay, Linda, let's go back and move along a little bit with this.
Okay. So I got my sum of all of those products, which we can see from the formulas what we're supposed to do for the numerator. For the denominator, then I need the sum of all the frequencies. So for that, then I'm going to use the same sum formula. I'm opening a parenthesis, except now I'm highlighting all of the frequencies that are used. So that's going to tell me how many total data points I have in the original data. I don't have the original data to reference, but I have this summary of the data. So this will still tell me how many data points there were. So then now that I have my numerator and my denominator, then I can divide these. So then all I'm doing is equals, hitting my x sub I times f sub I sum, and I'm dividing that by the sum of all my frequencies. So my approximate mean would be 32.
And one of the nice things about Excel is you have spaces to make little notes, because sometimes you're going to be doing things. So Linda might end up putting something there, like I don't know what she'll type, but something saying, what the heck is that number? And there she did it. And so you see, that way you remember, you say, oh yeah, that's what that number is. Okay, back to you, Linda.
Okay, so we found the approximate mean. The second half of that problem was finding the the standard deviation, and we're doing the population. So if I go back to those formulas on my grace notes, then I know this is group data, so it's going to be one of these, and I'm looking for the population standard deviation. So this is the formula that I'm going to be referencing, okay? Any questions on that?
Yes, Paula.
So my question is, when the data is grouped, we always do the 2.5. We add the 2.5 always when it's grouped.
So it's not necessarily 2.5. You're adding whatever the mid distance is in that bracket.
Gotcha.
So because the distance from 15 to the very edge of 20 is 5, then we divided that by 2 to get the mid mark. So we're adding 2.5 to everything that was my lower bound.
Okay, so we always add the midpoint.
Yeah, so that's why I'm doing min plus 2.5 up here.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Linda.
Okay, so I'm going to move my formula down a little bit. That way I can have room to work. Then let's see.
Hey,
The first
Linda,
thing I would need to do.
Linda, I'm sorry. Kathy had her hand up too, and the way this
Okay.
this thing works, you were covered up by Paula, Kathy, and so I was not ignoring you. Go ahead, Kathy.
That's okay. Linda, could you remind us what are the two symbols that are not the X and F, the other symbols, and one of them I believe is mean. I don't remember what they're called or what they mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So this little weird looking thing is called mu, and that is your population mean. And if you ever forget, then it's listed right here with mu equals the population mean. Okay? So then that weird looking O with a tail coming off of it, and that is a sigma.
I thought
So
that,
both of those are Greek letters.
I thought the other one where it said the sum, isn't that also called sigma, or what is that called?
So this is actually a lowercase sigma, and that would be an uppercase sigma.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. So since I'm using this equation, then the first thing I want to do is x sub I minus mu. So that's each individual x value, so my class representatives, minus the mean that I found right here. So that's in cell D13. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back up here, and I'm going to call this x minus mu, like a cat. So to get that, then I'm taking my x values, and I'm subtracting my mean. But I want to do an absolute cell reference, so it's not going to slide down when I drag this formula down. So to do that, since this is in cell D13, then I do a $D, $13. And that's going to keep that specific cell. So I hit enter, and then I'm going to drag that down. Any questions on that?
Sierra has a
Um,
question.
is the $sign, that's just standard of how to write it in Excel, or how do we know we are supposed to be using the $sign for the symbols?
Yeah, so that's just what you need to know to use Excel for that absolute cell reference, because otherwise what would happen is when I go down, you see how it's B2 minus $D, $13?
Yeah.
When I go down, then it would have changed it to be B3 minus D14.
Oh, okay.
But D14 has nothing in it.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that it's going back to that D13 every single time. That's why I do the $signs.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So we got x minus mu. The next thing I need to do is square that. So you can see that little exponent there. So I'm going to make another column, and that is x minus mu squared. So that is caret 2. So all I'm going to do here is hit equals. I'm taking the value from x minus mu, and I'm doing shift 6 to get the caret, and I'm raising that to the second power. So I hit enter, and then I'm going to drag that down. Any questions on that?
Not a question, Linda, but I have a comment. I always know what time it is, but we're going to finish this problem before we break, okay? And I'll keep track of things and no one will get hurt. But I think this problem is best finished before the break. Go ahead, Linda, continue.
Okay, so I have x minus mu squared. My next step is multiplying that by the frequencies. So I go back up, and I'm just going to call this times f sub I. So I'm literally taking what's in column G, and I'm just going to multiply that by my frequency, which we have in column C. So I'm hitting enter, and I'm going to drag that formula down as well. So currently what I have is each individual piece of my summation. So now I need to add them all together. So to do that, I'm going to use the same sum formula that I've been using. I highlight the data, I close my parenthesis, and I hit enter. So that is my numerator. Well, under the square root. So I have everything up here. I actually already have my denominator as well because that was just the sum of the frequencies. So if I go back up, then that was that 3917 right here. So what I'm going to do now is divide those two numbers, as it says in my formula, and then I'll apply the square root, okay? So first thing divide, then get the square root. So all I'm doing right now is equals, taking the sum of all those numbers, dividing it by that 3917, because that's the total of all my frequencies, and I hit enter. Now I need to take the square root, and there's two different ways you can do this. So you could do equals SQRT, and then just punch the number that we just got, close your parenthesis, hit enter. Or what you can do is raise it to the 0.5 power. So that would be equals, taking that same number, and now I'm raising it, so that's that shift 6 to get the caret, and now I'm raising it to the 0.5 power. So I do get the same answer. And that would be my approximate standard deviation.
Now, Linda, there's one more question here, and we are going to finish this. It has, and I don't know if it said 95% or whatever, but let's see, what did the problem itself say? Oh, yes, apply the empirical rule. 95% of the mothers should be between what two ages? So you see, they should be within 2 standard deviations of the mean. So Linda's going to do that calculation for us.
Okay, so let me label this real quick. So this is my sigma, or standard deviation. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to take my mean, so mu, and I'm going to do plus 2 times my standard deviation. And that's going to give me my upper bound, and then I'm going to do relatively the same thing by doing mu minus 2 times my standard deviation. So when I apply these formulas, then that's just going to be equals, I'm taking my mean, plus 2 times, and my standard deviation was at 5.7 and change. So I can hit enter, and then for my lower bound, then I'm going to do equals, take my mean, minus 2 times my standard deviation. Hit enter, and there we go. So it would be between about 20.5 to 43.5.
Okay, now what Linda did there was, this is very much a kind of problem that I could ask you on a test. And again, this would be one of the numbered problems. Now, they all might not be this involved computationally, and I don't know that I'm going to ask you this, but this could be one of those. Linda, show them the next slide. I'm keeping track of what time it is, but Linda, show them the next slide.
Okay.
Okay, now this is the same kind of problem. We're not going to do this, but I encourage you to give this a go and find out what happens here, because this has to do with the weight of babies, and you got different numbers, but it's the same methodology. And again, this is from the National Vital Statistics report. Okay, so now Linda, advance the slide once more. Okay, now when we come back, I'm going to lecture on this slide, and we're going to do the normal distribution problems. And I think it was Sierra, I mean, I don't know who asked the question, but somebody asked the question about speedy loop. So we're going to be dealing with this when we return. Now, I am looking at the clock. I always know what time it is, and it is 7:18. And so we want to come back at 7:28. We're on break. 7:28, please be back. And Linda, you probably need to go pet a dog, right?